Hi guys, back with another video for you today. I've got a new guest here on the channel. It's Andy.
Hello everybody.
So Andy works at ZGO Perfumery, and today we're talking about Christmas gift shopping guide, fragrances that you can get at ZGO Perfumery. And we've got a nice selection of fragrances that you might be familiar with and some fragrances that I haven't spoken about on the channel yet. So if you're curious to learn about these fragrances, then please stay tuned. Talking about fragrance gift shopping guide. Are you guys familiar with ZGO Perfumery? They are a San Francisco local San Francisco fragrance apothecary. They have candles and body products and even tea. Lots of great fragrances. Probably the premier fragrance store, niche perfume store. And so I brought Andy here. Last year I had Jessica. Today we have Andy. And we're going to talk about 14 fragrances, correct?
Correct.
We've got 14 different fragrances, and we're going to go ahead and get started with Unité from the house of Obvious Parfums.
Cheers.
Are you familiar with Obvious Parfums? This is how their bottles look, and I featured this recently in a cozy tea fragrances video. This is really super delicious as far as a tea fragrance goes. What do you think about this?
I love the Unité. One of my favorite things is this nice cute little cork cap that comes on this bottle. The matcha and a mate combo is probably one of my favorite tea-like fragrances. It has a very creamy.
It's got that creaminess, yes. Yeah. We got that from the vanilla beans and Tonka bean combo also. But there's an herbal quality with the mate matcha combo, and then also that really nice orange spike in the background. With
got some zing.
The ginger zing in there is really delicious as well. And this is a very underhyped brand. Nobody talks about this brand, but they make some great fragrances. And they're also not that expensive. And the cool thing is they're not overly complex. You can buy the tea and layer it with the une boise or the une musk. If you want to add some rose to it, layer it with the rose. And they just came out with a pistachio fragrance. So they've got a nice variety of fragrances. So highly recommend Obvious Parfums, and Unité is our recommendation for this year. So if you're if your budget's around $150, I think this brand is perfect. What do you think? Great
choice for sure. Definitely something with it getting a little bit colder too. If you're wanting to have something a little bit cozy, kind of warm up, Unité is a great option for this season. So.
Yeah. So next up, we're talking about Parfums DUSITA, and it's ROSARINE, the latest fragrance from the house of Parfums DUSITA. ROSARINE was a fragrance I featured in Scent Club Mystery Box #1. We featured samples. And you know what I like about this one? It's that patchouli that's mixed in with all the rose that's in here. It's definitely a rose bomb. It features a Bulgarian rose along with rose de mai. There's a musky ambrette note, fruitiness from lychee and raspberry, spices from cinnamon and the patchouli, of course, cocoa, sandalwood, vetiver. This is definitely one of the best from this house.
Sure.
What do you think?
Big fan. It's a rose bomb, like you said, for sure. And I'm always a fan of anything that uses a lychee note. And of course the patchouli, your signature favorite note. I'm always a fan of.
Yeah, the patchouli is great in this, but you know what? Also the cinnamon. The cinnamon is pretty strong.
Oh yeah. No, I definitely get a lot of cinnamon off the bat, and especially with a nice blend of the cocoa. It's really good.
Yeah. So ROSARINE is definitely one of the best from Parfums DUSITA, and I think it will make a great gift. They now come in 100 ml bottles, if you want to show that. They used to only be 50 mLs, but they started making 100 ml bottles, and I like my fragrances to be 100 ml.
Me too. Definitely don't like them light, so.
Yeah. So that is ROSARINE from the house of Parfums DUSITA. And then next we're moving on to Dom Rosa Millesime. Is it Millesime?
Millesime, I believe.
Millesime?
Millesime. I think that's the extrait of the original Dom Rosa. Is that correct?
Yeah. This is Dom Rosa Millesime. I'm going to go with Millesime. I don't know. Millesime sounds weird. Millesime. Okay. Melissa or whatever. So recently I had a consulting client, sniff session client in here, and she told me that she goes to Napa Valley to, wine tasting, and she loves the idea of a wine fragrance. So I pulled this one out, and she was so amazed at how great this smelled. This is like a rosé champagne, like a a red bubbly champagne, so it's very sparkling and effervescent. And the original was great, but the Millesime is really, really wonderful. Created by Sonia Constant, who's known for some Tom Ford fragrances, and she's also got her own line, LK fragrances. This stuff is super delicious, and it's very, very sparkling with rose, woods, champagne, pomelo, cedar, cloves, pear, olibanum, vetiver, and gaiac wood. What do you think?
I love it. I get a little bit of like an incense base from it as well.
Coming from the olibanum.
As well as a really nice like sparkling champagne as well.
Do you get that pomelo?
I do get the pomelo. I definitely get the clove as well in here. I feel like clove is a note that is pretty prominent in most, like...
It does stand out, doesn't it?
It does stand out for sure.
Yeah, the thing about this one is also that pomelo. There was a time I was drinking a lot of white wine, and there was a brand that was called pomelo, basically. And it was basically a Sauvignon Blanc that tasted like pomelo. And it kind of reminds me of that because it's a wine, it smells like wine, and also it has that kind of pomelo prominence. So it's a really delicious fragrance. And I think it'll make a nice gift because that bottle is really gorgeous. It's got a bit of the top of that bottle is what do you call that? Pewter? Is that what it is?
Yes, pewter.
Kind of reminds me of castles and
kind of like Victorian in a way.
What do you call it? Like cups and plates. They used to all come in pewter at one time. For some reason, it's got that kind of thing going for it, but a great fragrance for sure.
Great fragrance, also really, really well priced as well. So for the 100 ml size too. So,
oh, it is?
Yes.
Okay. All right, next we're going to a fragrance from the house of Goldfield and Banks, created by Hamid Moradi Kashani. It's Ingenious Ginger. If you guys don't know Hamid Moradi Kashani, he's done a lot of fragrances this year, and this is one of his best, I think. Oh my God, this is a great ginger fragrance. It's probably one of my favorites from Goldfield and Banks, and I've used up quite a bit of this because look at that, it smells so good. And in the heat it's even better. Australian ginger flower, bergamot, lemon, magnolia, china, jasmine, rose, mandarin, sandalwood, patchouli, vanilla, musk, cashmeran, and amber. What do you think?
You get the zing. There's a bite for it for sure, but it's also not like a super overwhelming ginger.
I agree. It's not like a ginger bomb.
Yes, no.
It's got the bite, but it doesn't like really bite you really hard. It's just the right amount of zing.
Right. And it also has a really nice like creaminess to it. I think the jasmine kind of mellows it out quite a bit, as well as having a nice vanilla in the background too.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
This is a really great fragrance. I think Hamid Moradi Kashani did a great job with this one. It's one of his best, I think.
Absolutely.
Wonderful offering. And I think it'll make a nice gift. And again, as I mentioned, it smells really great in the summertime. I wore quite a bit of it last summer. And even though we don't get really hot summers here, it still smelled great with a little bit of a humidity that we had.
For sure. I would say it's pretty versatile through the seasons too. You could get away with wearing it in the fall and like late spring too. So
okay. Next up, we're going to two fragrances from the house of FRAPIN. We've got 1270 and 1270 Extreme. So both of these fragrances are very similar in that 1270, the original, is more warm spicy, and then the 1270 Extreme turned out to be more fresh spicy. Let's go ahead and talk about the first one, the original 1270. Definitely has a very holiday vibe here with honey, vanilla, dried fruits, which features like plums, raisins, candied oranges. There's spices, nuts, vine flowers, everlasting flower. So this is a cognac brand from France that also has fragrances, and vine flowers makes sense because they make cognac from vine, not grapes. They make it with grapes, so vine flowers from the grapevines. So really a warm, spicy, fun fragrance, I think.
I believe for the cognac side of things, they have like one of the oldest vineyards in France, I believe.
Oh, they do?
Wow.
Yeah,
I love this white honey, vanilla, lots of dried fruits as well as a fair amount of spice into it as well. Nice floral heart to it as well.
Yeah, I really like that one.
Beautiful.
Do you get the differences between the Extreme and the...
Yeah, for sure. I think I get both directions for both of them. Obviously, 1270 Extreme and the 1270 not varying like a huge amounts, but I still see where they're both going in different directions.
So with 1270, they mentioned dried fruits. To me, it gives it a warmer presence. With the 1270 Extreme, we've got fresh fruits like pineapple and apples. So for me, the 1270 Extreme I thought would go a lot warmer and deeper and richer, but it actually ended up going fresher, which makes it easier to wear when it's warmer outside. Actually, both of the fragrances, they're not overly heavy. You can get away with wearing them, any time of the year pretty much.
For sure.
But they do have that holiday vibe, which is really fun.
Agreed.
Perfect for this time of the year.
Agreed.
So next up, we got a fragrance from the house of ELECTIMUSS London. It's their latest. It's Vanilla EDESIA. And this is a fragrance created by Cecile Zarokian here. This is definitely her signature. It's a very complex fragrance. There's a lot going on in here. But in the end, it's mostly about vanilla with lots of cumin, frankincense, cinnamon, coriander, heliotrope, sandalwood, patchouli, rose, mandarin, almonds, and many, many more notes. Again, this fragrance wears complex. It's very heavy. It definitely fits the style of ELECTIMUSS London fragrances. It definitely has a Middle Eastern vibe. But you gotta love cumin. This is a cumin bomb. Cumin bomb.
Cumin bomb for sure. Tell me if you feel the same way. I get almost a chai-like vibe from this a little bit, with there being like the spices with a really strong vanilla.
I can see that because she's already made a fragrance called Remember Me by Javoy,
Right.
which is chai. She doesn't have cardamom in this, which Remember Me is cardamom and ginger. And then also Ani from Nishane is cardamom and ginger.
Right.
Here she's switched it up a little bit. She's thrown in cumin and cinnamon and coriander. So it's got a different kind of spice vibe, but very sweaty to me.
Yeah, no, definitely very sweaty, and like you said, the cumin is very, very prominent here. If you love spice, this is a great vanilla spice combo.
Yeah. So if I know a lot of people don't like cumin, and there's those people that love it. I actually really love cumin. I don't get the connection of BO. People connect it with BO. Absolutely love it. But I grew up utilizing cumin as a spice in food and cuisine, so I got to, separate the differences between BO and cumin. So I love cumin in fragrances, but I can totally see how people connect body odor to cumin. So if you like a different kind of vanilla, I think this vanilla is definitely not your typical gourmand vanilla.
Right, for sure.
All right, we've got another fragrance from the house of Royal Crown. It's called Eternum. This is a brand new fragrance from this house, and I think both ELECTIMUSS and Royal Crown fragrances make great gifts because they have really cool looking bottles. Of
course.
Especially this one here with the crown on top.
Hand painted too. Hand painted
caps.
Beautiful.
Look at that. Can we focus? Come on now. Does not want to focus. It wants to focus on us.
Yeah.
But either way, this is a fragrance that I'm still trying to figure out and wrap my head around. It's a musk aquatic water notes, juniper berries, white melons, iris absolute, white flowers, Mysore sandalwood, honey, and gurgeon balsam. What do you think about this one?
Like you said, I'm still trying to figure this out. I'm on the same page as you as that. For me, I've been slowly making my way back to this every time I'm in ZGO. I get it's very aquatic.
You get minerals?
I do get a lot of minerals, and it kind of reminds me of just like the smell after it rains. I get it's like a
concrete smell,
but not like super dry.
It's wet.
It's
very
wet. Yeah, it's very wet, and I would say like damp.
Yeah, I think if you like that whole minerally fragrance idea, and then the wet concrete after it rains, that kind of ozonic kind of a smell, watery, just as soon as it starts raining, not like when there's this smell when you know it's going to start raining. That smell is definitely prominent here, but we're getting a lot of that from that white melons note in here. Melons come off kind of marine aquatic and ozonic, and that's really, really prominent here, and it's also very musky.
Very musky. Yes, I love this.
I think it'll find an audience, but I prefer Nocturna over this one. Nocturna is super delicious. It's a very unique vanilla fragrance. This one is not one of my favorites, but for sure, if anybody wants a nice looking bottle that has that kind of aquatic, marine, musky, ozonic qualities, this will satisfy them for sure.
Add some flair to your collection. If you want something good looking up on your shelf, that's a great one to have on there. So
Yeah. All right, we have a duo of fragrances from the house of Atelier d'Azur next. We've got Pink Me Up and Noir by Night. So these two are very fun and playful fragrances, and I feel like we've got the female equivalent with Pink Me Up, and then the male with Noir by Night. And if you want to balance them out, I actually really like to wear these two fragrances layered. The Pick Me Up for me goes very fruity, fun, playful, girly, feminine. Noir by Night is a bit more serious, woody, incensey, smoky, leaning masculine. And the two really does balance each other out. And these are really great colors. With this one being my favorite of the two, because I'm not a big fan of pink actually. But there's the Pick Me Up. Pink Me Up is very fruity and also very sparkling and effervescent. So it's got the champagne accord in there. There's blackberries, musk, champagne, rose, bergamot, orange petal flowers, patchouli, and iris. And Noir by Night is caviar, incense, gaiac wood, sandalwood, cashmeran, mate, coriander, and dreamwood. And this was actually made after COVID. You know, people were, cooped up in homes and not going out much. It's basically back to celebrations, and basically champagne and caviar was the idea.
Right. Freedom is supposed to be kind of
the theme?
The theme for these fragrances, I believe.
Okay.
So
I think also these would make great New Year's fragrances, of course,
for sure.
Champagne and
the gold
caviar.
flake in there as well.
Yeah. So shall we smell?
Yes, for sure.
Okay, so I'll spray Noir by Night, and you spray Pink Me Up. And then we'll do a blotter with the two together.
Okay, sounds good.
What do you get with Pink Me Up?
Pink Me Up is very sparkly. I get a very strong raspberry from it as well. Very youthful as well. Like you said, very fun. It's very based around like partying is kind of what I would.
Yeah, I'm thinking of
the
Great Gatsby with these two fragrances.
Yeah, very Art Deco, huh? Yeah, especially with the bottles, the way they look as well.
Yeah.
I also think something really cool about this is I remember the interview you had done with him, and he talks about using the headspace technology to capture the champagne essence for this fragrance. So
I forgot that. Thanks for remembering.
Yeah.
If you want to find out more about these two fragrances, I have a video with Jean-Philippe Clermont discussing these two fragrances.
For sure.
You're right. Yeah.
So it is a very very natural champagne-like smell. So
yeah. And Noir by Night, thankfully, it doesn't go fishy because it's caviar.
Right.
I think they've toned it way down, and there's no marine touches at all. But what you get is that caviar with a lot of woody, incensey smokiness.
Right.
For sure, there's a bit of muskiness in there from the Cashmeran, but some grassy qualities and spices as well.
For sure.
And let's try and layer the two together.
Let's do it.
I think, though, between the two, I think Pink Me Up is the more popular.
Agreed. Yeah, that one is, we've seen a lot of people start gravitating towards just for the...
Spray the Noir by Night.
Oh, yeah, the Noir by Night, sorry. Something I also think about Noir by Night is with the caviar, it has almost like a creaminess to it as well that balances out the salt with it. Like you said, it's not going to be super salty and marine. It has almost like a creaminess to balance it out, which I really like.
What do you think of the layering duo?
Wow. Not what I expected, to be honest with you.
I think they layer great together.
Me too, yeah. I get incensey flowery raspberry, I guess is what I would say.
For me, it's almost like this popsicle I used to have as a little kid. Yeah. It reminds me of the smell of this very fruity berry popsicle. But in the background, there's that whole caviar idea, woods, and a bit of smoke. It totally tones down the very playful, youthful vibe of Pink Me Up and makes it more balanced and grounded.
Yeah. It makes it a little bit more sophisticated, I would say. Not as youthful, right?
Yeah, that's a good word. Cool, yeah, I like that.
Me too.
Next, we've got Passoir Extrait, probably my favorite of the whole entire collection. I'm absolutely addicted to this one, and I wear quite a bit of it, and it's pretty potent. This is an extrait of the original Passoir, which I never was, a fan of. But when I found out about this, I was really excited, and it does not disappoint. It's Quince, Chutney, Tangerine, Cashmeran, Jasmine Absolute, pear, patchouli, black pepper, ginger, cocoa, orange blossom, vanilla, and benzoin. For me, this is kind of like a niche take on fragrances like Coco Mademoiselle, Muglaire's Angel, and fragrances like that, but more niche style and more potent. Really great. I love the patchouli in this.
Very potent. I get a lot of pear, a lot of cocoa from this. Cocoa gives it a really nice gourmand touch as well with the fruits in there. And like you said, the patchouli gives it like an earthiness as well.
Yeah.
So
I think the cocoa really amps up the patchouli's qualities because they do
agreed.
complement one another. And you know, I do get the quince chutney.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Quince chutney is a very cool note too. I believe you have to cook quince chutney too to be able to use it. Is that correct?
Yeah, the quince fruit is usually cooked.
Is it usually cooked?
I wouldn't think you can eat the quince because it
Yeah.
kind of gives you this weird puckery. It can't be eaten raw, at least from what I remember as a kid, but it does have a nice fragrance, and I think it's prominent in SOIR Extrait.
sure.
And last but not least, we've got a trio of fragrances that have the most amazing bottles from the House of Oud. We've got, let's point all three of them.
Sure.
We've got, this one is Bonbon Pop, this one right here. And what have we got there? We've got Wabi Sabi and Gambling.
Yeah.
Which is your favorite?
The Bonbon Pop is probably my favorite. For the reason being is it makes me feel like a little kid every time I smell it. Walking around the fair, it's got like a very like cotton candy, very like sweet like vibe to it.
It's fun.
It's very fun. We had an event for them not too long ago, and
I missed it.
I know we missed you. But we had cotton candy on all the champagne bottles, so it was to kind of represent the Bonbon Pop. So very sweet, very fun looking bottle too, and very long lasting as well.
I really like these bottles. They're very beautiful, and they make great gifts, I think, for sure. Let's smell this one. I believe this is my favorite, followed by Gambling. Unfortunately, Wabi Sabi is not my favorite. Oh yeah, this is very fun. It's very coconutty, musky, with vanilla, white peach, precious woods, brown sugar, dry amber, patchouli, jasmine, bergamot.
Lots of coconut right off the paper for sure.
Very much. There's definitely a spice in there too, even though they're not mentioning spices. I get a spicy kick.
A little bit of the patchouli, I guess you could put into the spice realm.
Yeah.
But
there we go. Look at that.
Pop.
Beautiful. So let's try Wabi Sabi, my least favorite of the bunch. I don't know why this one, I don't know if it's the wasabi that's not working in here. I don't know what it is.
Wasabi is an interesting note. I can't say I've really ever seen that put into a fragrance before, or not many times before. Especially having a wasabi and ginger combo. It is both two very strong notes that they're trying to squeeze together that maybe aren't agreeing too well. Still, I give lots of props for the combination. So.
It's not the wasabi that's not bothering me here. I've experienced wasabi in fragrances like Berlin. No, wait, not Berlin, but Tokyo from Gallivant. But this one, there's something, I think the combination is just not working for me. It seems a bit too artistic that somebody might spray here and there once in a while. That's just my opinion. That's how I'm experiencing the fragrance. It doesn't have an inviting quality about it.
No, I wouldn't say so. And I'm actually picking up on a lot of the geranium in this as well. Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, the notes combinations for me is not working, but I do really enjoy Gambling. And that bottle is also very gorgeous. Let's show that one. Let's go ahead and, you want to take that, please?
Sure. Yes. Funny, I remember when I first saw these bottles, I was unsure if you would spray out of the actual pretty little cap here or of the bottom part of it, but that's a funny thing. I feel like a lot of people get confused on when they come to spray these bottles. It's a pleasant surprise when you get to do it out the other side.
You know, actually, between Bonbon Pop and Gambling, I think I like the loudness of Gambling.
Me too.
It's Bonbon Pop seems a bit subdued. You have to put it on skin to smell it, like let it develop.
Right.
Gambling has a really loud projection that I like.
Very woody. I get like a dryness from it, almost like I don't want to say like quite like a chalkiness from it, but very dry, woody, and pretty peppery as well. It's pretty spicy. I love that about it, and almost a little bit boozy.
Yeah, there's light booziness in here, which I quite like. It adds this brightness. There's the coffee and lots of resins and woods.
Yes.
Yeah. I think so. I guess between the three, Bonbon Pop, Gambling, and then Wabi Sabi. But I think Gambling and Bonbon Pop are tied for me.
Me too, for sure.
Anyway, guys, that's all we have for you today. Christmas fragrance gift shopping guide. You know, there's a discount code. It's in the info box. There's a 15% off over at ZGO. If you walk into the store, tell them about the discount code as well. Other than that, do you have anything else to say?
Thanks for having me. I'm stoked to be here. This is super fun. So
okay. Cool. So thanks so much for watching today. Hopefully I can bring Andy back for more videos. But if you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook. And I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.